to Still the Press, which is live from the nation's capital. And we're done with the first segment where we brought to you headlines. And now it's time for an analysis. And this is to remind you that you can join in on our conversation this morning by, of course, dialing the number on your screen. And while you do this, be sure to, of course, stay away from your TV set so that we can have a good and effective communication. Well, we've now been joined with our guest in the studio. He's a journalist and he will be giving us the analysis of the headlines read to you, and his name is Jide Oyekule. Hope I got that name correctly. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How do you do?
I'm fine.
All right.
It's nice to have you on the program with us this morning.
Oh, welcome.
Okay, right, I'd like to go first, and of course the story that has been on every newspaper headline this morning, and of course the week has been Sudan conflict. As of yesterday, the federal government has come out to say they budgeted 150 million naira to evacuate students from Sudan to Cairo, of course Egypt, where they can get airpeace to evacuate the students. But then this morning, students have been lamenting slow evacuation, and then federal government says they're paying 1.2 million US dollars. And then at the end of the day, from the Punch newspaper this morning, the students have of course come out to say only 15 out of 40 buses were ready as of Wednesday, that's yesterday, and they were able to convey just 750 students. The minister says the cost covers 19-hour journey security from Sudan to Cairo. But don't you think that's a little bit overboard? 150 million naira yesterday, then 1.2 million US dollars this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to start by actually give a knock on the Nigerian government on the approach to the evacuation of the stranded Nigerians in Sudan. If not because of the Mr. Allen Onyema, the CEO of Airpeace, who actually came out to offer assistance to Nigerians. So Nigerian governments have this attitude towards emergency situation. In the situation whereby your citizens are dying, they are facing a very critical situation in another land where they don't have any hope. And it took Nigerian governments some days before they came out to tell us that they want to set up a committee as usual. At that point, you need a fire brigade approach. Yeah. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. So you need a fire brigade approach to actually tackle this problem head on. And our embassy in Sudan, I learned that it even took them some days also to get a kind of to coordinate the number of Nigerians that are being stranded. So, having said that, yesterday the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Onyema, said that they have spent about 1.2 million US dollar to evacuate stranded Nigerians. And if you look at the buses that they brought, they are talking about 40 buses. They didn't buy these buses. They were hired. And to take Nigerians that are stranded to Cairo, I wonder how they arrive at that figure. But at this point, the figure and the amount does not matter. Do you understand? So what actually matters now is the safety of our fellow Nigerians that are still in the war-torn country. So as it is, I think there is need for Nigerians and for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to do more and to even scale up their ante, increase your capacity, your strength, and your logistics in bringing these people to the soil of Nigerians safely. now you can be quoting figure for now, but as it is, the safety of these people actually it matters, and it's very, very paramount.
Okay, what solution would you prefer? Because as of last week, they were not even willing to even bring them. The first thing you came out to say was, why are they there? And then even ASU came out to say it's a shame on Nigeria to have students in Sudan, given that, of course, Nigeria's economy is better off than Sudan's economy. But at the end of the day, when you take a look at it from the educational aspect, you realize the Nigerian federal government has failed when it comes to education. When your 4 years is not your 4 years, you enter school, and then you're supposed to spend 4 years in school. At the end of the day, you spend like 7 years, sometimes overboard the number of years you're supposed to spend. So what do you have to say about this in general? And
to add to what she said, I believe there are institutions, especially in Nigeria, and that should be in charge, like NEMA, for instance. Do we say they are not doing what they are supposed to do? Because most times we keep blaming the federal government. I know it falls under the federal government, but of course, this duties have been shared to various institutions. So do we keep blaming those upper people in power, because they'll say, of course, it's the present government of the day that is not making things to work, but we have institutions in place to ensure such issues like this are attended to?
Yeah. Going by your question, I think the reason why they couldn't actually respond immediately is understandable, but it's not tenable. You know, at the beginning of the crisis in Sudan, the Sudanese authority closed their airspace to the civil aviation.
Okay.
So they closed their airspace. There is no airline that can land at the in Sudan, because close to about three airlines were actually aircraft were burnt at the airports. So at that point, it will be suicidal, you understand, for any country to fly an aircraft into that airspace when they have already closed the airspace. So that is why they could not actually respond immediately. But I learned that they organized, there was a kind of a camp that they asked Nigerians to assemble. That's number one. So number two, for Nigerians schooling in Sudan, I think we cannot blame them, because if you look at this country, things have actually gone bad, and many people are now looking for the greener pasture. That is why you see Nigerians, you see at different levels, you see people making efforts to get out of this country. And look at it, if you look at the education in Sudan, I think it's more or less like Islamic education that we have there. And most of the people that go for this to study in Sudan, you understand, most of them are our brothers and sisters from the northern parts. Okay,
now this brings my question, because before now there's this perspective that it is, of course, that when the federal government was slow to put in actions, that it was because it is Northerners, and that is why, more like this ethnic bigotry already, that is why they've not put in so much. People, Nigerians were not talking about it, and Nigerian government were not putting in efforts to bring back those stranded outside back home. Would you say that could be true?
Come again.
That's because the issue of ethnic bigotry right now, that's because they are Muslims, they are not the Christians, and of course they are maybe Hausas and northern people, and that's why the government is slow to action.
I don't think that is correct.
Okay.
That is not correct. And if you look at it, whether they are very slow or whether they are fast, you understand, we cannot bring that one into the conversation, because you cannot, when it comes to crisis, when it comes to emergency, all those primordial sentiments, you bring it down and you don't bring it into such a situation. And if you look at our emergency agencies like NEMA and even our security agencies, I think our embassy, not only in Sudan, in other countries, I think they're supposed to be a kind of like intelligence reports, exchange of intelligence. Because if you look at Sudan, this thing, it was like a keg of gunpowder. Because since the assassination of the former president, that's Omar al-Bashir, in fact, it has been predicted that Sudan is going to erupt in another phase of a crisis. So, Nigerian embassy is supposed to have that intelligence report before and few days before the crisis, and by that time, you know, that's why you see some countries, they will issue a security advisory to their citizens that avoid so place, or you understand that don't travel to so place at this point. And at that point, that is when the Nigerian officials in Sudan supposed to have made efforts in order to bring these people together and find a way of how that, in case this thing actually erupts and snowball into war, on how to evacuate them. But there was nothing like intelligence report between the Nigerian embassy in Sudan and the security at home. So I think, going by your question, I think it is. I will not believe that is because of the ethnic bigotry that we have.
Oh, okay. I still want to ask. I know you said something about safety should be the major concern here, but of course, Nigerians are putting in questions that why, if FPs have said we are going to bring these people back home, all you need to do is take them from that spot where there is it is warfare to, of course, a safer place. Then we'll fly them home. Why then should we spend so much on just bringing back from Cairo to from Sudan to Cairo? Is that not too much? And Nigerian government taking advantage of situations where, of course, we are supposed to prioritize safety, of course, and they are prioritizing safety, but then should they take advantage of the situation? Yeah,
the Nigerian government is catching in on that particular loophole, which is not good. But I cannot blame the Nigerian authority, simply because if you look at the terrain from Sudan to Cairo by road, you know, this Sudanese army and SAF, the warring parties. Do you understand? So it's not that they are based in a particular place. They are all over the country. So there is, you know, the window. You remember that there was a 3 days ceasefire.
Yes.
You understand? That was declared,
but
like a kind of a security. I mean,
more like a curfew.
Yes,
but they didn't get to that
to provide a window of passage for foreign nationals. So at that point, the passage from the movement from Cairo, I mean from Sudan to Cairo by road, they can't just go. They can't just evacuate and take them there. There must still be a kind of security arrangement in place, because on your way going, you don't know those people that might have laid the ambush on the road, so that it will not be from fry pan to fire. So looking at this vividly, the Nigerian government, the authority actually is very slow in the response on their response to this crisis and the evacuation. But at the same time, they cannot rush and quickly take them to Cairo border and for the airlift. So because you look at the Cairo and they have a Chad. They are making use of another border, that is Chad. And I learned that some of our Nigerian citizens doesn't have passports. You understand? To that will take them through Chad. That's why they are trying to explore the other area.
Okay, since we are talking about flying and air, there's this
Nigeria Air will fly before the 29th.
So the Nigerian Air will fly before we leave office. That is coming from Civica, and the Minister of Aviation had the Civica yesterday insisted the Nigerian Air will begin operation before President Muhammadu Buhari tenures ends on May 29. He said, of course, recall that the Federal High Court in Lagos had ordered the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority not to issue an air operators of certificate to Nigerian Airlifted following a suit. Well, the bone of contention here is that Nigerian Air will fly before President Muhammadu's end of tenure. Do you see this coming to play?
I'll be the most happiest person on earth if that particular promise comes to fruition. And remember that these governments have they are very good in making statements and promises upon promises. I think till today we are still burdening the logo of Nigerian Airway. I don't know whether you understand what I mean.
No, I get.
You know, 3 years ago, the same minister came out to tell Nigerians, they launched the logo of Nigerian Airways. You understand? Nigerian Airways, and Nigerians were so happy, as if it is something that it will just like something that will just start and it will start operation immediately. It was only the logo. After that logo, nothing else. It is very absurd, very ridiculous, and it is unacceptable. When you are making a policy statement and you can't back it up with action, it's annoying. You are launching. I don't know whether you see the fanfare that followed that announcement, and when they even did the launching, you thought that maybe they are trying to even doing the launching of the airway. You understand? But it was just only the logo. So now, if they are coming up to tell us that before these governments, the tenure of these governments will terminate before by May 29, that Nigerian Airway will be in operation. Well, let us believe
with a government that of course have challenges with already its roads. The train stations are kind of, despite the fact said of course they are building, and then we keep saying malfunctions trains, and trains are not operational. Well,
that is it. But if they tell you that they want to build skyscraper and build the castle in the air, you understand? So just take it as just a statement.
Okay.
Just take it as a statement.
So it's safe to say Nigerian government only knows how to sign MOU, but implementation is the problem.
That is the problem.
Okay, now away from Sudan crisis and of course Nigerian Airway, now I'd like us to move to presidential election that of course happened February 25th. It looks like the election is not over because there's still back and forth between political parties and presidential candidates. And Nigerian Tribune this morning, the kicker of the story reads presidential election. Atiku hits back at Tinubu, says it's drug-free, unencumbered by identity scandals. Obi fought INEC for seeking dismissal of petition against Tinubu. Then for Daily Sun, presidential poll, again, Atiku Obi attack INEC Tinubu. Then for one of the papers this morning equally, Atiku and Obi have come out to say, INEC was in full support of the president-elect, that's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, I'd like to hear your own opinion about this particular case, because of course after election we should be moving forward to say, let's move forward and talk about the inauguration and move forward and say how do we move the country forward, the economy, and now they've come out to say there's going to be a fuel subsidy remover, but looks like that is not the case. We're still hell-bent on court issues here and there. I'd like to get your own opinion about that.
Yeah, till now, Nigerians are still bitter Nigerians are still bitter over the conduct of the 2023 general election as a result of the manipulations, irregularities that actually that we saw during the conduct of the election. And you know, many of the candidates, presidential candidates and other candidates that they are already in the court, like Atiku, you know, and the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, is already in the court. And on the alleged withdrawal of his petition against
you already said it's a blackmail.
Because I want to tell you that, you know, there is a kind of like polarization of the party. The party, that's the Labour Party, is being polarized in a way that the deputy chairman, that's the man they call, the one they call Lasisi Papa, yes, actually was the one that actually went to court, approached the courts, that all the suits against the presidential, against the president-elect, against the APC, has been withdrawn, and the Labour Party actually came out to deny that there was nothing like that.
Well, it's still the same Papa's Labour Party faction that came out to say they'd never said, because alleged disengagement of Obi's petition a blackmail, and that's coming from Papa's Labour Party faction as of this morning.
Yes, but you know, there is a kind of like a confusion in the whole thing. The other one, that's Ajuri. The Ajuri also came out to deny that fact. Do you understand? That there was nothing like withdrawal of the petition at the tribunal.
But even if there was withdrawal of the petition, would they have actually come out to say, yes, we withdraw?
Yeah, if they have withdrawn that, if they have done that, they will come out. But you know, if you look at the whole thing, and if you look at the politics that is going on in the Labour Party, you will see the hands of the hands of Jacob and the voice of that Jesus. So if you look at it, everything is being planned in order to break Labour Party into pieces in a way that they will use it to cripple that party, and there's going to be a kind of confusion within the party, so that there will not be a kind of a common front in pursuing their petition and their other court cases they have at the court. So looking at it vividly, I think as it is, the PDP, that's the Atiku, is in court, and he has not in any way, he has never said that maybe he's withdrawing the case. But you know, the same people that said that go to court, they are not the same people that are still now telling them that withdraw your case. I don't know whether you so that is now what is going on now. Withdraw your case. Why are you telling them to withdraw their case?
Okay, so is that, can it be said that is part of why Atiku has come out to say is drug free? Of course, we know that there have been cases of alleged people alleging that the president-elect has drug cases, and he was able to forfeit $460,000 for most of the cases he had then. So could it be said that this is why he's coming out to say that, oh, if the court case won't work, I'll paint you back? And then I'm going to ask you one more question. What does this mean for Nigeria in the international space, given that there's been cases of them throwing cases that the president-elect to say he had drug cases, is this, is that, he has dual citizenship, he has a passport of a certain country?
Yeah, I think it's just all these cases that we have before the court, either at the tribunal or the regular courts. Yeah, it is just to enrich our jurisprudence.
Okay.
It is meant to enrich our electoral system.
Okay.
Now, the one for the drug, which Atiku mentioned. I think he was still trying to, all these things they are using it to, is politics. It's politics in the sense that he was claiming that he's drug-free. And you know, in the Electoral Act and some of the ground of their petition, you understand, they put all this there. So it's in their petition. So it's not left for the courts to determine if the presidential candidate, that's a president-elect, is fit. Do you understand? And if they have evidence to that effect. So that is number one. So number two, on the issue of the dual citizenship and that's the head. So if you look at that, actually when you have dual citizenship, it's in the constitution that you cannot have dual citizenship.
And contest for presidency.
Yeah, for president. Yes. But if you are born in the country, you understand? If you are born in the country and you have you are a citizen in another country, you understand? So, but as it is now, the issues surrounding the citizenship of the president-elect of that Ghana, which country? That's Guinea. Do you understand? So that is another loophole that the opposition they want to use against the president-elect in the court. And if if they are able to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, I think the courts.
Okay, so let me come. I like the fact. Sorry to continue. So I like the fact that I said prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. How on a scale of 1 to 100, how well do we respect the rule of law in Nigeria? And do you think the rule of the Nigerian judiciary has failed us? Or do you think they would actually?
Okay, to add to what she said, during the election and when the announcement of the results were made, and there were allegations and counter-allegations as to why INEC would have declared Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of the election, and they said go to court, right? And now we're seeing this election back and forth. Like Mercy asked, do you think or do you hope that the judiciary is going to be independent, looking at all these facts and issues being tabled, and be independent to give of judgment, or of course judgment based on the facts and not based on, of course, sentiment?
Yeah, go by the antecedents and the track record of what we have had as far as our judiciary is concerned. You know, I want to tell you for free that many Nigerians have lost confidence in our judicial system. They have lost confidence based on the way Nigerians have been disappointed when when court gives ruling. Look at the one of that Yobe, that one is a pre-election matter. The Machina, the APC candidate in Yobe North. You know, when the courts said that the Machina is not a rightful candidate of the APC, the senatorial candidate. So if you look at the antecedents and if you look at what the judiciary have churned out lately and even in the past, do you understand? Nigerians are not happy and they have lost confidence. But some of the cases that are before them now, you know, when they want to tell you, they will tell you that it's based on technicality. Do you understand? I think Nigeria by now, our judicial system and our judicial process is supposed to have gone beyond this issue of technicality, but rather substantive justice. Because we know that there is no morality in law. But at the same time, the public opinion guide the judgments of any court. So if there is a technicality, you don't allow technicality to precede above the substantive justice. And I think that's the former CJN, the former female, Mokhtar, the former female CJ head, said that time that the time for the technicality has gone. That is time for the substantive justice. But we don't see that substantive justice come to play when it comes to the to their judgment, when they are giving their judgment. And so these are the things that Nigerians actually look at it, that at the end of the day, even this, all these cases that we see before the tribunal, that we still move to the appellate court, you understand? So they look at it. So many people have lost hope that once your matter gets to the court, you have lost it.
Okay, so what are the tendencies? Or because we say there is nobody above the law, and we see cases where judgments are made, and those elites do not obey court orders. They do not obey court judgments. So what are the tendencies that, let's say it's with the concerned turns, that there's this probability of obeying court orders, especially with this issue at stake?
Yeah, I think you know, there is a way they will always to obey court order. You know, it has been in their habit not to obey court order. Even if the present administration, you know, there is one of the, how will I put it, one of the governments that I have seen that have shown a kind of disrespect for rule of law. In the sense that when a court asks you to do this, you give a judgment. If any court whatsoever, even if that judge is drunk and he gives a judgment, you have to obey that court first. I mean, the order first.
So you can appeal.
Yeah. But in this type of, in this country and this type of our own world, it is, we do things in opposite direction. They will ask, if the government, look at the judgments, even the one on the IPOB leader. The court has already discharged all the 6-count charge. Whereas has dismissed all this count charge against Nnamdi Kanu. Do you understand? But some people expected that, oh, Nigerian government is going to obey that court order. Even if you are going to appeal it, you did not obey the order.
Let's talk about appeal.
Now you now went to appeal, asking for a stay of execution.
And it's still in custody.
And it's still in custody. So there are so many cases. There are so many cases that this government has actually, they have disobeyed. In fact, flagrant disobey. They have disobeyed the court order outrightly. And the new government that is coming, I'm very sorry to say that this government have a lot of work to do. Simply because in the area of building confidence, you have to. They have to make a lot of efforts in order to repose that confidence back in Nigeria, for the institution to work.
Okay. Speaking of restoring confidence, there's been NAS presiding officers, Tinubu, Lawa, and APC. They met at Defense House, of course, to speak about zoning the speaker's slot. And now there's been the issue of zoning. And I feel like, whether we like it or not, we say Nigeria, we're one. Should there be an issue about zoning at this point, or we should look at being efficient, someone that can actually deliver at this point in Nigeria?
You know, all politics is local.
Okay.
Yeah. And the issue, the leadership of National Assembly, I think it is something that Nigerians should watch out for.
Yeah.
And in the history of Nigeria, since 1979, when we started the presidential system of government, there is no government that failed to control, the government that is in power that failed to have majority in the National Assembly. But now, Nigerian the House of Representatives, the opposition is having majority. That is number one. And the zoning of a thing, you know, the section 50 of Nigerian Constitution, which talked about the composition of the leadership of National Assembly, it says that section says that the member of National Assembly, be it Senate, the House of Rep in particular, to come together, elect their leader among themselves. The Constitution is very, very explicit. It's not ambiguous. So now, but the party is looking at direction of zoning system, whereby the speaker will come from either from the north or from the south, and the Senate president as well. Looking at the whole situation and the contenders so far that we have in the race, I think if care is not taken, and if the APC did not do their homework and their calculation very well, we will have the repeat of what we have in 2015. We will have that repeat of what we have in 2015 when the former Senate president, the former governor of Kwara State, Olusola Saraki, was from the opposition, became the Senate president. Because as it is in the House of Representatives, we have nothing less than APC is having about 178 thereabouts in the House. And while opposition put together is having about 182. And the Constitution, the new amended Constitution, has already put it that you just need a simple majority to elect a presiding officer. And you need a 2/3 majority for the inauguration of the National Assembly. So, you know, after the inauguration, that is when the election of the presiding officer will start. So, I know that there are a lot of campaigns, there are a lot of lobbying, there are a lot of...
so this being my question, should there be lobbying? Because we understand that oftentimes the National Assembly has been tagged as rubber stamped, because of course they just take in whatever the executive give to them. Meanwhile, that's not supposed to be the case. They're supposed to put the executive arm of government and other arm of government in check. But in Nigeria, it is different. Is it because of the fact of this lobbying we see where it comes to who gets there, then they fight to get there in the first place?
Yeah. In fact, to answer your question straightforward, there is no need for lobbying. Though there is need for lobby, but the issue of zoning shouldn't come in. Simply because you allow people, the contenders, to go to the poll, let them test their popularity. And if you look at it as it is, the South, almost all the regions are talking about being sidelined. They are talking about in the interest of justice, equity, and fair play, and based on their contribution during the presidential election, particularly the Northwest. The Northwest have the highest vote, which is about 2.6 million votes. So, as it is, the Northwest is gunning for Senate president. But I think the meeting they had yesterday, I think they were trying to set the party and the president-elect are trying to narrow it down to maybe zoning, and when you zone it, it should be Christian, because that one is also going to come to play. You can't rule out the religion, because you cannot have the president as the Muslim, vice president Muslim, the Nigerian number 3 man Muslim.
But what's wrong with that if you have that?
No, you need to consider a lot of,
because we are looking at
if you consider the capability, that's the efficiency. the competence, right?
Yeah, those should be prioritized, not the
It should be
ethnicity or religion.
prioritized. That is why I said that all politics is local.
It's local.
So when you prioritize that, you are creating more division in that area. So that is why you need to look at it and play politics that will make sure that everybody is being carried along.
Yeah.
Now, Southeast that lost out in the presidential election, there is need to compensate that particular region. Though they produce the smallest votes during the presidential election. Southeast.
So that shouldn't even be a major consideration for picking.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a major consideration. But going forward, because if you look at it, there is need for you, for this party, this APC, and the president-elect himself, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to embark on fence-mending mission. I don't know whether you understand.
I get you, because he actually came out some time ago to say, oh, he's going to come back together. He's going to bring everybody together.
Let's work together.
That's what he said.
You cannot say you want to bring everybody together on the same table, and you are bringing the what they call it. You are the president is Muslim, vice president is Muslim, second president is Muslim, speaker is the Muslim.
There's going to be lots of division.
So when you have to consider a lot of things. When you are bringing people on the same table and you want them to join you in this government.
All right, Jide, thank you for your analysis this morning. Jide is a journalist, and of course he has helped us analyze some of the issues, and I'm sure you've learned and enjoyed what we have for you today. And well, there's no more time. There's no more time. We have to go. Thanks for joining us on the press this morning. Do well to join us again tomorrow, same time, same station. I am Victoria Agbi.
Thank you, Jide, for joining us once again. It was really nice to have you on the program with us.
Thank you.
All right. Dear viewers at home, this is what we bring to an end for the press this morning. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you for joining us this morning. I remain Mercy Babajide, and this is where we call it the wrap. See you tomorrow. Bye.